Katara is not a chosen one like Aang, and unlike Zuko, she is not involved in the borderline Shakespearean tragedy of a family devolving into madness. There's nothing innately special or unusual about her. At least Toph is a master earthbender from a well-regarded family, but Katara is a nobody. She's only special because she chooses to be. She forces herself into the narrative. A meek and novice waterbender at the start of the show, she becomes a confident waterbending master by the show's end, because she's willing to work toward that end. It matters to herself, and it matters for her connection to her people. True, her father was something of the village chief, so she's not a complete nobody, but their village is basically a bunch of huts that have been spared from Fire Nation invasions, so that's not exactly an impressive title. I wouldn't go so far as Season 1 Zuko does and call her a peasant, but the truth is that she's special not because of her birthright or because of any natural talents. Why bring this up in a video about Zutara? Well, Katara's importance in this narrative comes from the choices that she makes. Not that choice isn't important to all these characters. If they hadn't made the choices they had, they might have gone down very different paths. Aang has to choose to accept his avatar duties, and later, at the end of the show, he has to choose to not kill the Fire Lord, despite pressure from those around him. Zuko makes the choice to reject his upbringing and the nationalistic imperialism implicit in that upbringing. The tragedy of Azula is that she is unable to make that choice, instead succumbing to madness when her fear-based worldview deteriorates. But Katara is one of the very few members of Team Avatar who only matters because of the choices that she makes. And I believe this extends to her romantic decisions. It's interesting. Why did she choose Aang? We don't really get a lot of insight into her head regarding romantic matters, and what we do get can be contradictory. For the entire first season of the show, the crush seems very one-sided. There's a slight hint that Katara might eventually marry Aang in episode 114, The Fortune Teller, but the only information the Fortune Teller gives Katara is that she will marry a powerful bender, and that could be any number of people. There are a lot of powerful benders in this world. Aside from Katara, there are 3 other powerful benders on Team Avatar. And that does not count all the other powerful benders they encounter on their travels. Katara first displays affection for him in episode 202, The Cave of Two Lovers, where they kiss in the dark and hope that love will light the way. But this only happens because they're afraid of dying in a dark cave, and this does not necessarily contradict the view of Aang Katara espouses in episode 114, where she compares him to a sweet little creature like Momo. Going forward, Katara continues to take on the role of Aang's older sister or surrogate mother. It's not for nothing that she literally dresses up as his mother in episode 302, The Headband. Whenever Aang needs help, he goes to Katara. Katara is the one who comforts him when he goes into the Avatar state at the end of episode 211, The Desert, when he's just wreaking destruction on the Sandbenders who muzzled Appa. She's the one who dispenses sage wisdom when he tries to force himself to stop caring in episode 212, The Serpent's Pass. He's the exuberant, immature one. She's the one who has to step back, consider the conditions and give a more mature perspective. If he's the id, she's the superego, to put this in Freudian terms. Even when he's fantasizing about kissing Katara in episode 309, Nightmares and Daydreams, she is treating him with compassionate maternal affection, sacrificing her own well-being to help him get the sleep he really needs. Yes, the other members of Team Avatar sacrifice to help Aang too, but not nearly to the same extent. When Aang storms out of the play Team Avatar attends at the end of Season 3, just because the play ships Zuko and Katara, Aang asks Katara how she feels about him, romantically. Her response is honest. She doesn't know. And yet she kisses Aang at the end of the show anyway. Why? What has brought about this change of heart? If I wanted, I could take the easy way out and say that the only reason the writers have Katara make the choice that she does is because they're so obsessed with Aang getting his dream girl that they don't consider the relationship from Katara's side. And that's true, I've made that point before, but that's not the whole story. The choices characters make in love triangles do not exist to just please or displease shippers. They reveal something fundamental about a character's ethos. Characters are primarily defined by the actions they take, and romantic choices are a very important subset of that. They say a lot about us. What does this person believe? What do they want and why? A very good example of this is Katniss choosing Peeta over Gale at the end of the Hunger Games trilogy. While that love triangle is far from my favorite part of that series, Katniss's choice is symbolic of her choosing warmth and affection over passion and ambition. It's synecdoche. And I bring up the Hunger Games comparison for another reason. Aang is basically Peeta in this scenario. Yes, I like him more as a character than Peeta. But like Peeta, he's peaceful and kind and rather anodyne. Katara has been attracted to bad boys throughout Avatar. Now, this is not to say she has entirely been attracted to bad boys, as Haru proves, but he's the exception that proves the rule. She's not attracted to edgy posturing, but rather to genuine, conflicted souls still trying to decide what choices to make. This reflects her own mental state. Now, this is not just saying she's attracted to broken people. That's not really fair to her. Rather, she's attracted to those whom she feels can help make her whole again. So I suppose it makes sense that after forgiving Zuko and making peace with the tragic death of her mother, Katara is whole. She does not need that kind of relationship anymore. And so she chooses Aang. His confidence and pacifism and peaceful energy is exactly what she wants for herself in the future. Theoretically, I guess I can see how this pairing is more than just the fantasies of writers who are more concerned with Aang's romantic feelings than Katara's, but to me at least it's still a little disquieting, especially considering what we see of Katara's fate in The Legend of Korra, Avatar's sequel show. She is the only member of Team Avatar who does not have a statue we see in The Legend of Korra. What little information we get about her married life with Aang seems to imply that the burden for raising the kids fell mostly to her, as Aang was predominantly occupied with his Avatar duties. From at least what we see in The Legend of Korra, it seems that she's best known by that time as Aang's wife and mother to his kids. There's nothing innately wrong with that, of course, but it does not fit her personality in Avatar. Katniss also leads a quiet, peaceful, married life with kids after the show's end, and I remember some people being disappointed by this, but it fits her as a character. Katniss was forced into the role of a revolutionary. Katara stepped up. She chose that role. So it is strange that she would choose to apparently leave that role and marry someone who consistently demonstrates that he is not capable of forming anything more than an idealized portrait of her. He doesn't understand the real her. He just sees what he wants to see in her, and he always has. I'm not saying it would have been perfect if she had ended up with Zuko, and I would be more than fine with her ending the show single, especially considering she's only 14 or 15 by the end of the show. But Zuko at least understands her sorrows and longings. He's able to understand her for who she actually is, and not for who he might want her to be. It's a relationship built on compassion and empathy and understanding. So thank you all for watching. If you liked what you saw today, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Donate to my Patreon if you can and you want to see more videos like this. Keep watching Avatar: The Last Airbender. It is a brilliant, challenging, tender, empathetic show, and I'm so glad it's finally getting all the attention it deserves. While I do call out what I see as the show's lapses, they're only apparent because so much of the show is so good and so refined and poignant and profound. It doesn't just stay on the superficial level. It's a really great show. Anyway, tune in soon for my next analysis. It will be coming soon. Thank you all again. Adios, comrades.